Yo, what's going on?
What's poppin', bros?
Yo, so I've been making videos here and there, like hair transplant, fitness videos, and whenever I would make those videos, I would think, what are people gonna make fun of me for when making these videos? But what I found out was that a lot of people actually watch the videos. People I haven't talked to in years would come up to me that I just randomly see, and they say, hey, I saw your videos and you should continue to make them. So Talal and I have been thinking about doing this specific video for a very long time. It's a very touchy-feely video. There's a lot of people that don't know what Talal has went through over the last 2 years with being diagnosed with cancer and everything. We're both actually going to start a podcast about various topics on YouTube because we both think we're really funny people. Other people think we're funny, so we're gonna combine our efforts and we're gonna start doing podcasts, get actual mics and everything. But this video specifically, we decided, you know, we're just gonna turn on the camera, we're just gonna start talking, and we're gonna see what this guy has had to go through for the last few years. So you ready?
You ready to ride this wave?
I guess so. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, so I guess the first question is, how did you get diagnosed? What was that like, and what was going through your head?
Man, hold on, I gotta put my belt on for this one.
Oh, we gotta call this something, like a segment. We have to call this something.
Man, today what? Today is Friday.
Jumma. Yeah.
So we should do PJC, bro. Post Jumma chill, bro.
Post Jumma chill. I like
Post
that.
Jumma chill.
That's
man.
pretty good.
Yeah, dude.
Okay. All right. So today on Post Jumma chill, we're talking about
cancer.
Yeah.
And the realities of it, and I guess my story and my narrative that's attached to it. So, man, to answer that question, it's like, what was happening? Like, what was the question? What was happening when I got diagnosed?
Yeah. How did you get diagnosed? How did you even find out that you had cancer?
Yeah. So honestly, it's pretty scary how I remember it so clearly. The day was May 18th, 2015. It was a Monday before finals, and I woke up. And when I woke up, I had the intention. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna study, and try to prepare to do my best on these exams. So it's a very serious topic, but I'm gonna use my sense of humor to articulate what happened, all right? So basically, when I moved over, I noticed that there was a part of my body that didn't move at the same rate. And what I mean by that is my balls it took like 3 seconds for it to like come with me when it came down to like flipping over. And I was like, wait a second, this doesn't feel right. So honest to God, I look down and I look at my testicles and I see my left nut is 3 times bigger than my right nut. And it felt like a lumpy rock. And seriously, man, like it was terrifying, because in that moment I was like, okay, from my understanding, I'm pretty sure your balls are not supposed to be like this. So what I did was I used my God-given resources. I went on my phone and I literally typed in Google.
You Wikipedia'd it?
Yeah, bro, I WebMD'd it, bro.
WebMD. Yo,
Bro,
I'll be right back. I gotta fill in gas.
I got you, bro. I'll talk to these guys. But literally, man, I typed in Google, left nut 3 times bigger than right nut, ? Enter. And when I pressed enter, honest to God, like the most terrifying result came up, and it said signs for testicular cancer. And it had a list of symptoms and signs that indicate whether or not you have testicular cancer. And one of them being abnormalities down in the testicular region, meaning like there's enlargement, and the feeling is like it's a painless lump, and it's like lumpy and hard. And on top of that, there's some other symptoms that I didn't even realize were correlated to my situation that I had, which were like examples for like, fatigue, lack of focus, and when it came down to lower back pain. So all these symptoms just got me to just go through this rush of anxiety. And when that happened, I remember calling my brother, and I was just like, yo, bro, I need you to pick up the phone. And he didn't pick up the phone. So then I called my sister, and when she picked up, I was just like, My balls, my balls. And real talk, man, my sister and my brother eventually called back. They both were like, you know, don't freak out about it. It's not a big deal. It could literally be anything. And the last thing it probably could be is cancer. So you shouldn't be tweaked out about it. So then,
Oh, and we made fun of him for it, which was really bogus. I still feel really bad. Because
Yeah.
Talal told us, yo, I'm hurting down there. I remember the first time that you ever brought up the pain.
Yeah.
Talal, we were in this English class, and Talal was like, this was back in the day when he was a dweeb, and we would pick on him and everything. And Talal was like, yo, I'm really hurting down there. And I was like, yeah, you maybe just have to go pee or something.
Yeah.
So we left class early because it was really hurting him. And I had to take him home so that he could pee. And I made fun of him for it all the time. But then we found out what it was, so.
yeah, basically, man. But my siblings were telling me to chill out. I was telling them how, like, what was going on, like, the day, like, the morning of, like, me figuring this out. So my siblings were like, you know, whatever it is, it's not, most likely it's not a big deal, but just go to the doctor and, you know, just have him check it out. So literally, I didn't even have insurance, by the way. I didn't have insurance. I had to call, set up my insurance, and I basically was like, look, listen, I kind of sort of have an emergency. Can I still go to the doctor? And I've had this card, the medical card, basically, that gives you that allowance to have, you know, to see a general practitioner or go to the emergency room in case you need to. I literally called over my general physician, and I was like, I need to schedule an appointment with you. The next day I went, and grant you, I had an exam at 8 a.m. in the morning, okay? I go in there and I bomb that test because I'll be honest with you, I could not focus. I go to the doctor, and he takes a look down there, and he's just like, you know, this could just be a fluid buildup, or, you know, it could, like, there's most likely it's not cancer, but just to confirm, we're gonna have an ultrasound done. And that week, it was just so nerve-wracking, and everybody was telling me that I didn't have cancer. The doctor was telling me I most likely don't. My siblings did, so told me the same thing. All my friends were like, bro, inshallah, like, God willing, it's nothing like that. And even though I was getting so much positive support and just hope, my gut was telling me, like, no, Talal, like, you're screwed. Like, whatever the situation is, it's not a pleasant one, and this isn't gonna be a short-term situation. This is gonna be about the long haul. And lo and behold, the Friday when I took my last final for the semester for my sophomore year, I walked out of the building. I go to Elmhurst College, by the way. I walked out the chapel because that's where I had my test. And I'm like, I literally made a Snapchat of myself. I was like, hey, yo, summer 2K15, let's get it. We on this. And I honestly forgot that I had an ultrasound, and I forgot that this was all happening. And then literally within like a minute, I get a call. I missed a call, and I called the number back, and it was my doctor. And we're passing by the doctor's office where I got my.
Oh, it was here?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I used to go here, not anymore.
Okay, so if you guys could see this, it's on Summit. Like, there's a bunch of houses, but apparently they're businesses.
Yeah, there's one like clinic over here somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like right down there.
Oh, wow.
Dr. Khan, man. Anyways, this dude calls me, you know. And by the way, you remember the show Breaking Bad, bro?
Yeah.
Remember did you remember the scene in the beginning when he gets diagnosed? Like, he's in the doctor's office and they're telling him, bro, this dude did not do that. He called me and he's like, is this Talal? I'm like, yeah, it is. And I'm in my car, and the time was literally exactly 2 o'clock. And he's just like, yeah, so we got the results of your ultrasound back, and the radiology shows that there is a tumor down there. And I swear to God, bro, like, at that moment, I was just like, okay, cool. And he's like, all right, so what I need you to do is come to me, and I'm gonna write you a referral to see a urologist. And we're basically gonna go from there. And man, that in itself was a very surreal feeling. I remember coming home. I went to pray. It was Jummah time. I went to go pray, and I saw some of my friends, and they were like, hey, are you good, bro? You good? And I legit just smiled at them, and I was just like, yeah. I go home, and I told my sister what happened, and literally that was the day, my first day of summer was the first day I was officially diagnosed with cancer.
It was probably a really difficult summer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So you got diagnosed, you had to see certain specialists and everything. You eventually had to do chemo, and you had to do 2 rounds, correct?
4 rounds.
4 rounds. Wow.
Yeah.
Shows how much I know.
No.
Okay, so you had to do 4 rounds. Walk us through chemo.
Yeah, I mean, so basically what happened was I had to get my testicle removed. So the day that I got my surgery done for that, I was about to leave, and my urologist, he comes in, and I had gotten some blood tests and chest x-rays done, and he came in and he's like Talal, I hate to say it, but your tumor markers are out of this like out of the world pretty much. Like my tumor markers, like one of the tumor markers, the count for it should have been at like under 50, and I had about a few 100,000 counts of that tumor marker. And all the tumor markers that they test for my cancer, they were all like off the charts, you know? So then basically from there, he was like, and then the chest x-ray that we had taken, it showed that there's black spots in my chest. And when that happened, he's like, you gotta go see an oncologist, and most likely chemo is gonna be the next step. So I remember like hearing all this, and I was just like, all right, I guess this is what we're doing. So I went to see my oncologist at Loyola and sat down with her after I had my CT scan, and lo and behold, I found out that I was diagnosed with stage 3 testicular cancer, which is the worst when it comes to testicular cancer. It doesn't go, you know how we hear sometimes cancers have like stage 4, stage 5 even, but for testicular cancer, stage 3 is the highest level for it.
Wow.
So I was diagnosed with stage 3, and the oncologist was like, look, listen, you have a mixed tumor, which means, what that means is I had 3 different types of cancer in my tumor. So in order to deal with that, I would have to go through a specific regimen of chemo that was called BEP. And the name doesn't really matter, but the point is, that's what I went through. And the regimen was as such. It was, each round was 3 weeks. And the first week of every round was 5 days back to back. And each day was 9 hours.
Wow.
So basically what I would have to do is I would clock in. I would literally wake up at like 6 in the morning, and I would just, you know, wash my face, use the bathroom, you know, brush my teeth. And I went to chemo. And when it came down to it, I'd be there from 7 o'clock and I'd leave there at 2 p.m. And the whole time, I literally just had to sit there and just go through it. And the way I went about going about chemo, it wasn't like it wasn't your normal way. And what I mean by that is, whenever I'd go to the hospital, everybody would, like, I would walk in and you know, the nurses would greet you. They'd be like, hey, you know, how's it going? And typically there'd be somebody with you. Like, what I mean by with you is a patient would typically have some sort of companion with them that would sit with them and just kind of go through their chemo. And but when it came from my situation, the first time I went for my first day of chemo, my mom came with me, and I saw how devastated she was. And it totally just made me realize, like, I need to ride this wave alone. Not because, like, that's how I want to go about it. I really didn't want to go about it that way. But to protect the people that I loved and cared about, I was like, they can't see me go through this.
Mm-hmm. What were some of the things that you had to go through? Because I remember seeing you have to go through them. Obviously, the change in how you look is one of them.
Yeah.
But other than that, like the stuff they had to put in your arm and everything.
Yeah. So when it came down to the process of it, the chemo in itself wasn't the painful part. The painful part was the side effects of, like, what the drug does to you, what the drugs do to you. And if you think about the concept of chemo, literally each bag of chemo would have like a biohazard sign on it with the skulls and shit on it. It's literally because chemotherapy is poison. They're injecting poison into your body with the hopes that they kill the cancer before they kill you. You know, that's the best way I could explain it. So what would happen to me is, within 3 weeks of chemo, all my hair started falling off. I started losing a bunch of weight. Not like healthy weight loss though, but I started losing a bunch of weight. I had uncontrollable nausea, and I had this one symptom. It's called chemo brain, where your mind literally just forgets, and it doesn't like piece things together the same way as it would when you just have a normal state of mind. And honest to God, bro, it was just a shit show. It was a shit show. I would have to show to other people that I was chill and cool, but on the inside, it was a traumatic experience that it left me shook. And honestly, looking at myself in the mirror and seeing myself lose my hair, lose everything, all the characteristics that make me be Talal Khan, losing all that and looking at myself was a very uncomfortable experience that it real talk took a lot of willpower, prayer, and just guidance from God to get through. Seriously, man.
So you go through chemo and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. And at this point, you're like, cool, I'm chilling, I'm done.
Yeah.
No more cancer, right?
Yeah.
But then you find out you still had massive amounts of residual tumors after the chemo.
Yeah.
So what was it like at that point? Because this is before you had any of your surgeries and everything.
Yeah. You know, when I was first going through this process of going through chemo and stuff, my oncologist was like, look, there's a part of your tumor that had, there's this one component to it called teratoma, which is a tumor type that doesn't get treated by chemo. It can only be treated with surgery. And the likelihood of that spreading far was very low for me, all right? So post chemo, I had a CT scan, and honestly, I was like, you know what? Just like you said, I'm chilling. The situation is it's pretty much almost done. Even if there are any residual tumors, some, surgical intervention that won't really have that much, like that crazy level of consequences just has to take place. Nothing crazy like that. But my CT scan literally showed that in my chest, my lungs, and my abdomens, I had tumors that were like literally this, like here, I'm gonna show you guys. Like this is how big like the biggest tumor is, and it's like literally in my chest. All right, there's some over here, there's some over here. There's literally like a boatload of tumors that were left over and still are left over. And the surgeons at Loyola, they took a look at my case and they were like, look, this is too serious for us to take a look at. And when I heard that, I was like, are you serious? Like, is this really the case? But I still wasn't too worried because I was like, you know what? Like, if they can't do it, I'm sure somebody can. But somebody could do it and somebody can do it. But I did not understand what was going to happen to me until I went to my appointment with the surgeons. I had to go to Indianapolis because that's where supposedly the best lung surgeons are, the thoracic surgeons are in the whole world apparently. So I went down there. I met with the doctor who invented the chemotherapy I went through, bro.
Really?
Yeah.
What was it called?
BEP.
BEP.
Yeah, I met this dude, man, Lawrence E. Einhorn. This guy treated Lance Armstrong for testicular cancer.
And then he also treated you, so you and Lance Armstrong are like the same,
basically,
same
bro.
Level.
Yeah, man. No, but this guy, this guy over here, I talked to him and I talked to the surgeons and they're like, look, at the stage that where you're at right now, in order to get rid of the tumors, they're going to have to do a set of 3 different surgeries for me. All right. And the first surgery would be to remove part of my left lung. The second surgery would be to remove part of my right lung. No, not my right lung. The second surgery would be to remove tumors in my abdominal region. And the third surgery would be to remove my right lung in its entirety.
Mm-hmm. And right now, as of right now, I've done 2 out of the 3. Mm-hmm. And we're waiting on the 3rd.
We're waiting on the last one, man. But when I first heard this, and that's not what they just told me, bro. They told me that they had a kid a couple years ago that had the same situation as me, similar prognosis. And when he got rid of his lung, he died 4 days afterwards because his body couldn't support itself. And honest to God, like when I heard that, I was just, I was speechless. I remember that day I heard this news. My dad was in the hospital room with me, and my uncle was with me too. And the surgeon was the surgeon was at a loss of words, bro. He just was like, he literally took a deep breath And he's like, I don't even know how to tell you this. He straight up told me, like, I don't even know how to tell you this. And I don't know how you're going to go about making this decision. And I just looked at everybody around me, and I put my hands on the doctor's shoulder, and I was just like, don't worry about that. Leave that up to me. And I just laughed it off because I was like, I saw like what my dad's reaction was, my uncle's reaction was. It was just pure devastation. But the reality of the situation was I was internally devastated as well. And that was the first time, I swear to God, that was the first time since my diagnosis where I broke down and I felt genuinely hopeless. Like, bro, I was like, damn, am I really gonna die? Like, is this really gonna go down for me like this? And yeah, man, I was in a very, you remember, bro, I went wild after that, man. I went through a really reckless phase, really wild phase for a good year or so. I was not convinced that this surgery was the way out for me. I real talk believed that there had to have been an alternative route. And I literally, for a year's time, I went through 4 to 5 different routes for alternative treatments. None of them worked. And each time I would go to the doctor, they're like, so when are you doing the surgery? So when are you doing the surgery? So when are you doing the surgery? And it was just like a constant slap to my face. Like every time I would try something and it didn't work, I was just like, what the hell's going on?
And I'm sure it would suck because these alternate medications or whatever you're taking, they're not working. I'm saying get the surgery. Someone else is saying don't get the surgery.
Dude,
every person has a different input on it, and after a while you could just see like how much stress was building up and everything.
It destroyed me, man. I real talk was not gonna do the surgeries. I legit was like, I'd rather just live life the way I am right now, fully able. I'd rather, because honestly, like, I'm gonna ask you this question. Did it seem like, outside of chemo, did it seem like I have cancer, bro?
Nope.
Right?
Nope.
And I was happy like that was the case, you know? And I still am happy that is the case. Alhamdulillah, God, I thank God, like, I'm very able as far as going out. I've done way more stuff after getting diagnosed with cancer than before it. When it comes to working out, when it comes to traveling, when it comes to all the adventures, all the adventure times. And legit, man, it's like, it's because of the fact that, I had all this energy and I had this mindset to live the lifestyle like this. And my fear of being disabled is what got me to not want to do these surgeries. But
and I think we're gonna end it on this.
Yeah.
But I don't know anybody that would have done it the way that you did it. Like, and I tell you this all the time, where I don't know anybody that is a stronger person. I think Talal's weak. I think I could kick Talal's ass if we got in a fight. But like, but I don't think that I know anybody that's a stronger human being mentally and physically than this guy. And that's because I've had to see everything that you've went through, and there were times where I would completely forget that you even have cancer. But yeah, I mean, we're waiting on this last surgery. Talal is gonna go through that.
We'll see what happens, man.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
We're gonna make more videos like this. They're gonna be in more of a professional setting, podcast specifically. You guys should spread this video around if you know Talal, if you know people that have known Talal, because even to do this takes a lot of courage. And if I was Talal, I probably wouldn't do it because I would still be closed off and not share all this stuff with everybody. But
yeah, man, honestly, like, I even as I'm talking, I feel like I'm just doing a very bad job at explaining what I really feel, and that's because of how sensitive and how close to home this topic is. So my apologies if I came off as repetitive or if I came off as not direct. This is genuinely my best effort to communicate the realness behind a situation like this.
We'll see you guys on the next few videos.
Deuces, fam. Much love.
Yeah.